Here is indeed a very difficult problem. I've hardly seen 1% students answering it correctly. Now, if you have not seen such a problem earlier, it's most probable that you won't get it in the test paper either. So it's a good time to look at such problems. It comes under thinking problems. Now here, an equation is given to you, and you need to find domain from the given equation. Well, if this equation is asked in the final exam, then you are also supposed to find the range for this problem, okay? Now I'm thinking as if this problem has come in Unit 1 for Advanced Function course, MCR 4U. And in that, we are only restricting ourselves to domain of this problem, okay? So if you're curious enough, you should actually go ahead, sketch this function and find its range also, okay? Now, domain of this function, so it's very simple to find the denominator cannot be 0, correct? So therefore from the domain you say, well, x minus 1 should not be equal to 0, so x is not equal to 1. So you eliminate 1 and say, well, all real numbers except for 1. Now another thing which you know about is that within the square root should always be a non-negative number, correct? So that is to say that x squared minus 2x over x minus 1 should be greater than or equal to 0, correct? So it's a non-negative number under the square root. Now, you've done the inequalities, and so now you're in a position to find what values of x will make it 0 or positive, okay? So for that, we can follow a couple of methods, and I prefer to make table, and this is kind of my table. I'm just making a few columns here, and the whole idea is to first factorize this part, right? So that we have factors to work with, and if I factorize it, then I get x, and I get here x minus 2 over x minus 1 greater than or equal to 0. So the whole thing should be positive, okay? So my function here is, so I'll write down these different factors here. One is x, the other one is x minus 2, and the third one is x minus 1, correct? So these are my factors. Now I want them positive, and I want to know where are they positive. So before that, let me see where are they 0 or undefined. So I've already found that they are undefined, and we kind of have a vertical asymptote at x equals to 1. And how about the zeros? So we have the zeros at x equals to 0 and x equals to 2, correct? So what we will do now here is that we'll mark those points. So x equals to 0, let's say this is my x equals to 0, and then we have x equals to 1, where it is undefined. We have a vertical asymptote, and another 0 is at 2, right? So equal to means greater than, that those points should be included, right? So for the time being, I will put these points as included, right? And 1 is not included. So I put a hole here, right? 1 is not included. So this is to remind me that by mistake also, I should not include 1 in my domain, correct? Yep. Now, to figure out whether it is negative or positive, we need to take some test values, right? And then find out if our function is negative or positive in those places. So on the left side of 0, so this is from minus infinity, so this one is from minus infinity to 0, right? And this part of the domain is from 0 to 1, and then we have 1 to 2, and then we have 2 to infinity, correct? Now in this part we can take a test point. So let me write down test points here, right? So I'm writing test points as TP, and test point here could be minus 1, okay? Between this to this I can have 0.5, and then I can have 1.5, and here I can have 3. Correct. Now if I test my function as these points, if x is minus 1, of course this is negative. If it is these values which are positive, so x is positive. I need not really find the exact value. I'm more interested in sign, whether it's positive or negative, correct? Let's check x minus 2. If it is minus 1, this will be minus 1. Minus 1 minus 2 is minus 3, right? If it is less than minus 2, then x minus 2 is going to be negative, so it's negative here. But if I plug x as 3, 3 minus 2 will make it positive, so I have positive here. How about this? Minus 1 will give me minus. This is less than 1, so it will be negative. This is more than 1, so 1.5 minus 1 will give me positive. And of course 3 will also give me positive, right? So with these negative positive values, if I have 3 of them together, right, and if I multiply or divide them, then I'm expecting negative answer here. Is that okay? Correct? Yes. And if there are 2 of them, I'm expecting positive answer. Is that okay? 1 will give me negative, and here I'm going to get positive. So since my domain is only where this whole thing is greater than or equal to 0, so that means I have this as my domain, correct? And also the zeros. Is that okay? Therefore now, let me just push it a bit more. I can write the domain for this given equation is, so to say, then I can write down my answer as domain of the given function. I can name a function like f of x equals to this, right? So I say domain of f of x is equal to. So this is positive. That means we are including 0, but we cannot include 1. So I can write this as including 0 means square brackets, right? 0 is included, but 1 is not included. So we have this bracket here. Is that okay? And then we have from 2 to infinity, right? And 2 is included because zeros are included, right? So we have included 2, and then infinity can never be included, right? So that's my domain. Do you see that? So that's my domain for the given function. So it's a very, very good problem, and it gives you a lot of concepts, right? Most of the time, questions are not that difficult. You have either 1 over x minus 1, right? Something like this. And similar concept is to be followed, right? Or something in the radical, and you know, within the radical, zeros and positive numbers are included, but non-negative numbers, right? That is, but not negative numbers, correct? So that is how we have to proceed with such a question, right? Once you understand it properly, then you should not be making any mistakes for such or similar questions. I hope you understand it. All the best. Thank you.